Hi everyone and welcome back. My name is Juanita if you're new to the channel. Recently I have changed my channel name from J Excursions to Rooted Green Thumbs, and the reason for that was because I had an option of either stepping aside from doing YouTube or changing and starting kind of in a clean slate with a new name. And Rooted Green Thumbs really resonated with me when picking the name because of the fact that I have been rooted to garden. I was raised with parents who were very much into the agricultural, horticultural lifestyle, and therefore this is why I garden, is because I was raised in that environment. Not necessarily growing flowers, it was more in the farming community. But at the same time, I grew a love for flowers. My mother loved flowers, and therefore I have been growing plants, perennials, flowers, and all kinds of just yummy looking flowers for my garden beds for I'd say over 40 years. So welcome you guys. So what am I doing today? Today I am going to be planting some gorgeous, drought tolerant, hopefully low maintenance plants that I think every garden bed should have. Now, these are some of my top picks, and these are going to go in this garden bed behind me. I will give you a tour of what it looks like before I start planting, and then I will give you a tour after I'm done planting, and I may even extend that to telling you what's in there already. Now, the irises are not in bloom anymore. They were absolutely gorgeous, but I got clips of them in one form or another that I can show you what they look like. And I will talk a little bit about them too. But lots of beautiful plants in here that the previous owner grew. And if you're not familiar with that, I moved into this 5 acres about, it'll be a year on July 5th. So not quite a year. And I've done a lot since then by moving plants around in this garden bed. And you can tell me in the comments below if you even notice the difference. But first, let's talk about these plants. Because all of these plants here are drought tolerant. They're somewhat deer resistant, so if you live in a deer community like I do, then this will probably work for you too. Now I have some milkweed here, and I'm going to place the names and the zoning down on the screen for you, and I'll put it down in the description area as well. But I've got 3 milkweeds. These ones are called Asclepias incartia, and I'm probably butchering the name, but these are native to the Pacific Northwest. I wanted some really good native milkweeds to bring in monarchs, and this is one of their host plants. So this is one that I would really recommend if you're growing a garden bed to bring in some butterflies. This is a really good one for you. All of these are good pollinators, by the way, too. Now this one's going to be about 4 feet to 5 feet tall, and it'll spread up to 3 feet wide. So it will spread, but it's going to grow kind of more of a clump. All of these, by the way, also require at least up to 6 hours of sunlight. This gets shaded, but it gets good morning sun, and it gets really good afternoon sun in the placement where I'm going to be placing these as well. Then I'm going to do a couple of Russian sage. This requires full sun, and this is also deer resistant. Gorgeous, gorgeous flowers for the summer. Then I have 3 Nepetas, catnip. These are in the sage family. However, the difference between this and sage is that this will not spread through rhizomes and be invasive. These will actually grow as a clump. They will spread out over time, but they're not an aggressive spreader, and they probably only get, let's see, what does it say? It only gets about 14 to 18 inches tall, and it'll spread about up to 30 inches wide as a clump. And this is a must-have, you guys, because it blooms all summer long. You don't have to deadhead or do anything to it. Just let it do its thing. It'll come back every year just as beautiful. I've got 3 of those. Then I have 2 crepe myrtles. One, which is this one, and this one here is a Bellini crepe myrtle. It's a Bellini raspberry crepe myrtle. It's going to grow these beautiful reddish pink flowers. This one is actually going to be about at full maturity, you guys. I'm talking about 4 feet by 4 feet tall and wide. Now, crepe myrtles are a slow grower. They're probably only going to grow maybe a foot per year, if that. I don't think they're very fast growers. Let me see what else it does say. It's zoned from 5 to 9. And it does require, crepe myrtle does absolutely require up to 6 solid hours of sunshine for it to bloom. So this will get up to 6 hours of bloom, of light to bloom. So it's perfect for that area. Then I have another one. Let me grab that one because it fell down. Decided to leave the party. But this one here will actually grow into a tree, and I'm excited about that. This one here was a bit of a rescue plant, so it needs a little bit of TLC. Now this one supposedly was marked as a shrub. I don't think it is. It's going to grow as a tree, and I'm hoping that it does. I don't know the color of the flowers of this, but this is a Lasomia Tascora. This one, like all crepe myrtles, have beautiful foliage and beautiful flowers that spring from midsummer all the way into fall, and they're just absolutely gorgeous, and I'm really excited about these crepe myrtles. Then last is a California lilac. That shrub right there, that's really huge, that's a California lilac, but that one there grows like a kind of more of a lavender, kind of like a lilac color of a bloom. They bloom in mid-spring. Beautiful, beautiful. I love it. Now this one will get just as big and tall as that, which is probably about 9 feet tall, 12 feet wide. I don't know how wide that is, but it's pretty wide. And last year I put that into kind of like in a snowball, and I'll probably do that again. But like any California lilacs, they are a little bit slower growing. Well, I don't know, that one grew pretty big, and twice as big in, I don't know, I've been on the property less than a year, and it's grown quite a bit in that amount of time. But this one here, yeah, it's gonna grow about 9 feet tall. Does require full sun. This will get the required amount of sun that it needs, because it will need at least 6 hours of sunlight for it to continue to bloom. And these ones actually can take, California lilacs can take some shade, and so just so that you know that. And they can also be trimmed and formed just like boxwoods into any shape that you like. I've done that in my Portland home, so I do know that that can be done. So yeah, must have. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what the garden bed looks like. I'm going to place the plants and then get started, and then talk to you at the very end. Okay, you guys, let's get started. Okay, so here is what the garden looks like before I actually plant anything, so you can see what it looks like before. Okay, so now that I've placed all the plants, I hope you enjoy this. I'm going to go ahead and get started. As always, I'm going to be using fish fertilizer to start establishing my plants.
asking why I'm struggling to stay. It's a mystery why I'm here. I guess I'm just too tired of fighting. Would you say? As we're growing older, darling, I begin to understand it all. It's me.
So with crepe myrtles, you want to plant them above the root level because crepe myrtles don't want to be sitting in water, and they want well-drained water. So you want to make sure that the water runs away from it. You also want the hole to be pretty large, twice as large as the container. And I also walk away to make sure that it's in the right position before I actually permanently plant it. Okay. By placing water in the hole allows you to see how well it drains, if it drains at all, and what you need to do for it if it doesn't. Especially if you're dealing with clay, you may want to add new soil to the hole, and then that way your plant has a fighting chance. This has some clay, but for the most part, this is pretty good soil. If you were planting this in the fall, any shrub like this, you'd want to make sure that you finish it off with some mulch around it to keep it, the roots nice and warm for the plant to survive. Well, it's clearly the next day, and I had to wait until today because when I was filming and when I finished filming over here yesterday, the sun was so bright that my shadow was just going to get in the way. So I decided, let's just wait for the morning and let me show you around, which turned out to be a really good thing because some special things were added to this garden. And also now you'll be able to see what the yellow-eyed tail grass looks like now that the bloom is actually out, because when I finished they had closed up, so now you'll be able to actually see what they look like. So let's get started with showing you what I did. Here's where I did the Nepeta, and it's just going to look absolutely stunning, and it's going to add for a lot of summer color. Now they will get larger over time, but I absolutely love them, and I love the color, and I will talk more about them. But these are one of my top picks right here because they're super low maintenance. Right behind it is coneflowers, echinacea, an herbal plant. Love echinacea. This one here, I actually transplanted it from my porch garden over here in the early part of winter. Not the right time to be transplanting anything. and I did it in the dark. And look at it. It is going to be blooming. It is just, I don't know the variety because I didn't select this particular echinacea, but we'll find out what color it is and what the bloom looks like, and then maybe I'll be able to identify it. Now, this is one of my other plants that would be one of my top picks of any summer flower. Have some daffodils here that were planted from the previous owner. A lot of what's in bloom, I didn't get to see what they were in bloom because I wasn't on the property last spring. So this is the first spring that I was able to see what the colors were and what they look like, and I was very, very pleased. So anyway, right here I have a heather, some cow lilies, don't know the varieties. This looked absolutely stunning in the winter months. California lilac. This one here has grown probably twice as large in less than a year from being on the property. And this one here actually is kind of more of a very soft lilac color, and it's still beautiful like it. California lilacs can be anywhere from a very soft muted blue like this one, you know, to white, to a cobalt blue, and it's possible even pink, but I've never seen pink. They do grow, however, as you can see, this will grow about 12 feet tall, probably 6 feet wide. So keep that in mind with California lilacs. This one actually grew pretty quick, and it's probably because it got a lot of sunlight. If you plant them with the kind of part shade, they'll still bloom, but they'll stay a little bit smaller than this one did. I have a lilac shrub over here. It barely bloomed this year. I tried to transplant it out of here because it's kind of hidden here over to my new garden bed that I'm creating. So stay tuned for that video. But I couldn't even dig a shovel into the ground. I think there's just too many roots between the two plants here. And so I just decided leave it alone. It's doing fine. It's healthy. It looks good. So there it is. And it's there to stay. Right here I have some, I think this is Veronica. And I didn't plant this. I think either the previous owner planted it or it just transplanted itself here. But this one is kind of like a little hidden gem. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it here. Then I have some more gladiolas over there and another heather over in that side. The gladiolas, I have no idea what the varieties are. And for the most part, I don't know the variety of a lot of these plants because I didn't plant them. I think I mentioned, but if I didn't, more gladiolas here. I encased them because the flowers, as you know, of gladiolas, they're kind of top heavy and they flop over. So just to give it some support, I usually use tomato rings. And having a green tomato ring really helps to camouflage the ring. So that's why I go with green. Then I have a hot poker, red hot poker here. This was not in bloom and it looks absolutely gorgeous. And once the blooms are gone, you deadhead all the flowers and then the foliage will stay nice and green until later on, late summer. Then you'll have to kind of trim them down. Not all the way down because they need that photosynthesis for it to bloom for the next year, but you do want to clean them up. And then this plant here, I'll put the name down because I had to identify it last year because I'm not as familiar, but it really reminds me of the rock spray cottonester, and it may be in that family, but this one has pink flowers and it will get about 36 inches in diameter. Dark pink flowers. It's really pretty. So I can't wait to show you this one. And I'll give you more information at that time. But for now, this is a gorgeous little plant. Isn't this just absolutely gorgeous? Now I know what this looks like and what the bloom looks like. And it is absolutely gorgeous. Yesterday when I was filming, all the blooms were really closed up. But it starts off like this. where it just starts off with these pods here, and then it grows into these really beautiful, dainty, almost daisy looking flowers. I didn't think this was ever going to bloom, even in the spring. I mean, we are in springtime, but we're approaching summer here fairly quick. But I think at the end of May when it came into bloom. So yeah, glad to see the blooms. Then I have the milkweed that I planted here. I planted the smaller one because when the yellow-eyed tail grass completely is done blooming, then all that's going to be left is just the foliage, and the foliage is only but maybe 1.5 feet, if that, tall. So those are going to tower over it, and then they're going to look beautiful in the summer months. But right here is a bearded iris. I'm going to go ahead and run a little clip of when I actually show these in bloom, and then I'll come back. Then I have a Siberian iris as well as a Sebastian iris. This one smells like sweet perfume. Oh my gosh, I can't even describe the type of smell it is, but it is a beautiful, sweet, fragrant that is absolutely out of this world. This one doesn't really have a scent, but it is still gorgeous. It's beautiful. I love that it has these yellow, just these hints of yellow on the edges. Absolutely gorgeous. Look at that. Now it's about done blooming. So it is just starting to get out of its season, but these are absolutely gorgeous. Love, love, love them. Weren't those gorgeous? I absolutely love it. And I love the color of this bearded iris. I mean, the foliage is kind of like this blue hues and this stripes of purple in the bottom. And look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? They do take a little bit, especially the Siberian irises, take a little bit more work to maintain, but they're still manageable. Another top pick. But my favorite top pick, and if you've been following me for a while, you know that I like butterfly shrubs, buddleias. And this one here, I believe, is Miss Molly because of the color of the flower that's coming in. I could be mistaken. It could be Miss Violet, but I'm going to guess it's Miss Molly. Either way, this is going to be beautiful. It's going to be about 5 feet tall, 4 feet wide, and it's just going to look absolutely stunning in front of this California lilac. And it's just going to be tall, so it's going to tower over these other irises and, red hot poker. So it's going to fill in that little spot really beautifully. So I'm really excited about that. So I'll bring you back in the summer when I do my summer tour so you can see what the flowers look like. Then right here I have a limelight hydrangea. This one here I bought probably in the fall, right before we sold our home in Portland. So this will get about 7 feet tall, probably 4 feet wide. So it's got plenty of room to grow right here and look just beautiful and stunning. So it'll have plenty of room right here to grow. If you're not familiar with limelight hydrangeas, this will be white in color as far as the blooms, and then it'll gradually go into like a red for fall, and it just brings in some really good winter interest, and it's going to look stunning to bring some color in this garden for summer. Then I have some more Sebastian irises here. This Sebastian iris, all the irises for that matter, except for the bearded iris over here, were all clumped together, and so I kind of divided them. Just keep in mind, if you're not familiar with irises, is that when you divide them and you uproot them and transplant them elsewhere, they will bloom, but they will be a much smaller bloom, and the grass will also be smaller when it comes back out the following year. But yeah, I had to divide it because they were all just clumped together, and it's doing fantastic. Here is the other milkweed that I planted here. Some more cow lilies here, and I mentioned about the heather over there that bloomed gorgeous over the winter months. And then I have a rock spray hot nester over here, we do have honeybees, and we will be harvesting honey. And so you can see all the bees that are just pollinating and getting all that juicy nectar to make me some honey. Yes, but this was not in bloom, but now you can see what the blooms look like. I can see what the blooms look like, and they're just gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. In my opinion, this would look really pretty on a rock garden. It would also look good on a rock wall garden because it'll cascade over. This also is really a great plant for doing flower arrangement, especially once it gets its berries in the fall. You can decorate it for Christmas with this, and it grows beautiful, as you can see. And then right here I have my Crepe Myrtle, and this one I'm hoping to grow as a tree. Over time, I mean, it's going to take a few years, but it'll grow into a tree, and it's just going to be absolutely gorgeous. Again, I don't know the color of the flowers, what they're going to be. We'll find out. Hopefully it'll bloom a little bit this summer, and I'll bring you back to it. But this is going to grow beautifully, has plenty of room to grow. Now, I planted it here because I have my pinnacle hydrangea over here, and deer tend to eat hydrangeas more than any other plant that's in this garden, and deer do come by here, and so for that reason I decided to go ahead and encase it and put the windmill in front of it. So far so good, nothing's been bothered with it. We'll see when the blooms come in. Right in front I have a Sarajevo goldenrod. This is absolutely stunning. I mean, if you think that's stunning, let me know in the comments below. But if you think that's stunning, this is even more gorgeous, because these are yellow in color, as all goldenrods are, and that's hence the name goldenrod. But it is just absolute, like a fire of yellow, and it is just beautiful. And last year all the flowers kind of flopped over this direction. I did divide this, and so this year everything is growing straight up. However, the flowers, again, they're kind of top heavy, so it does tend to have them not flop, but just kind of cascade more this direction. So let me show you what's on the other side. This is one of the new additions to this garden. Look at how gorgeous that plant support. And I looked all over for a really nice plant support, and I ended up finding these at a antique store for like $60, which sounds a lot, right? But $60 is nothing compared to what some of them cost, and they're not even close to being this nice. So all the flowers are going to cascade over that and just look absolutely stunning and be supported by that beautiful piece of metal there. And then right in front of it I have some gladiolus. Don't know the variety of them. I had a Japanese viburnum over here that I dug up, and all of these were kind of tucked underneath it, and so I moved them and placed them here. We'll see how beautiful and gorgeous of color those are, because I didn't get to see those bloom either, but they are a summer bloomer. On the other side of this, I'm going to go back to this, because on the other side, because the flowers are going to probably flop this way, at least they did last year, I'm going to go and get another plant support and place it over in this side, and I think it's going to look gorgeous from this side anyway. And then while I'm here, I have the other Crepe Myrtle. This one's going to get, again, 4 feet tall, 4 feet wide. It's got plenty of room here. It's going to look beautiful and have beautiful flowers, hopefully this year. And it also brings a lot of beautiful winter interest over here. Then over here is my newest Spirea. This one's in full bloom. Now imagine this, having the blue on that euphorbia right behind the Crepe Myrtle is going to look stunning with this being red, this being pink, and having this beautiful yellow over here. And this has that red also on the flowers, and then that chartreuse foliage just makes it for a really stunning, gorgeous plant from a distance. Then this is a Japanese flowering quince. Was in bloom last year. The foliage has this red as it comes out, and then it'll turn green, but the flowers are red, hence the name, Japanese red flowering currants. And the deer did kind of nibble on this a little bit, but it looks like it's doing some good recovery, and it's just going to be gorgeous. Now, right next to it was another plant that I transplanted out of here to the other side over there. We'll get there, but keep that in mind. When I talk about the Japanese flowering currants, you'll know which one I'm talking about. And then over here is my California lilac. This one's going to get tall, but it's going to look gorgeous. And this one was a rescue plant, like I mentioned earlier, and it's just looking happy there. So yeah, love it, love it. So next year I'll get to see the blooms, and it'll be absolutely gorgeous. It'll try to bloom this year, but because it was in poor condition when I bought it, it didn't quite make it there. But that's okay. Next year it'll be stunning. And then right here is the Russian sage that I planted, and this is going to add for a lot of color right in this area. Right over here is some more Sebastian irises that I divided and planted over here. This one was not in bloom this year, but this one did bloom, this little chunk. And this chunk, believe it or not, was never planted into the ground until probably early spring. I came across this garden bed when I was weeding it and noticed that I didn't ever get it into the ground, and here we are, and it even bloomed. So this must be very, very tough. Then the red hot lip salvia will do fantastic here because it'll get a little bit of shade protection, so the foliage will look beautiful and dark green and much better than what it looks like right now. And it will stay a little bit smaller than if it got full-blown sun. If it got full-blown sun, direct sunlight, this one would get probably about 4 feet tall and about 4 feet wide. This is one of my top picks for flowers, for shrubs, because long bloomer, summer bloomer. Right behind me is a plant that I'm going to be removing. This is gorgeous. It's in the euphorbia, but it's gorgeous in bloom like it is right now. But it is a little bit more highly toxic than, say, the euphorbia over here. Just even touching it's supposed to be highly toxic. Now, I've never gotten any reaction by removing it with my hands or touching it or anything, but supposedly they're pretty highly toxic that in some states they actually would want you to call them and they will gladly come and remove it from your yard. But what I don't like about it, even though it's beautiful and the foliage is beautiful, is that it spreads by rhizome and it spreads pretty aggressive. So I'm constantly having to pull out small pieces out. So unlike the euphorbias like this, they stay in a clump. They completely stay in a clump. They don't grow by the rhizome at all. They grow from old wood. So there's a big difference. And so for this reason, I think I'm gonna pull this out maybe in the fall. Get me some rhododendrons over here, because I think rhododendron would look really pretty here, especially if it's a dwarf rhododendron. Maybe even a rose bush would look beautiful here. Let me know in the comments below. Maybe you can give me some ideas. And then right here is an azalea. This one got trampled, I'm gonna guess, by deer. So when I first moved onto the property, it was really tiny. It was like a couple of stems, and it was flopped down to the ground. I picked it up, and it looks gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And it's filled out, and it has, I think, pink flowers. This one, I think, had just a couple of little flowers left when I moved here. And so I'm guessing that this is a later blooming azalea, but don't quote me on that because they're usually spring bloomers. Then over here I have a milkweed. This one, I don't know the variety of this milkweed, but this one will die down to the ground. This is very, very low maintenance. Don't have to do anything to it. One of my top picks. Also because of the fact that you don't have to do anything to it. You don't need to deadhead it. You don't, at least I didn't do anything to it last year. And, you know, it just died down to the ground and came back up. Maybe had to clean up a few dead branches from the ground, but outside of that, didn't have to do a heck of a lot to it. And it's coming back beautifully. This one kind of reminds me of a kind of a bird of paradise because it kind of has that same color variation where it's got reds and yellow and chartreuse and kind of pink. But I just absolutely love this one. You know, it doesn't grow very tall. It's probably at its full height right now. With the flower, it might reach to 2 feet, if that. And this would be a really great one for container gardening. Most milkweeds require quite a bit of sun, but this area right here gets a lot of shade in the afternoon, and it does perfectly fine. It gets a lot of filtered light, so it does fine. As you can see, it's blooming. So, oh, come in and bloom. Gonna look gorgeous. And then right here is my other Sarajevo, and I put a really beautiful plant support on this one. Now one's enough on this one because even if it flops over to the side on some of the flowers, it doesn't matter. It's got plenty of room to spread its wings, but this is going to look absolutely stunning as well. Another Sebastian iris. This one is part of the one that I subdivided, and this is our divided, and as you can see, tons of blooms. Gorgeous. And this area here actually gets pretty shaded. I would say from probably this plant here on about right here, this direction gets like afternoon sun, and yet everything here blooms beautifully because it does still get light. It just doesn't get direct light. Then here's the shabby cinquefoil. This one here is absolutely gorgeous. This one was right next to the Japanese red quince, and it's doing beautiful here. I did it really late after it had already frosted in the ground, and I planted it here because it wasn't my favorite color, because this comes in pink, also comes in this gorgeous, like almost a terracotta color, and I really would like to get the terracotta one in here because I think that would look absolutely stunning in this garden. But the white is also pretty. I mean, it just looks like a white little beautiful flower. But this one here is also a medicinal plant, and you can see that it had tons of buds and still going to be budding out and continue to bloom. But this one gets a lot of shade and it still blooms quite a bit. So keep that in mind when you're planting this particular plant. And there's a lot of medicinal properties to this plant. I won't go into it. That requires a whole different video. But if you're into herbs, plant this. You'll be happy with it. Okay, you guys. I think I covered everything in this garden. So you got a bonus garden tour for spring, and that is my garden. Okay, you guys, that's gonna do it for me. I really hope you enjoyed this, and if you want to see more of this, please give me a big like because that really helps my channel. And if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and that notification button. It's the best way that you can help support my channel and help it grow. But most of all, you guys, thank you. I love you. I appreciate you. And I will see you guys on the next one. If you have any comments, let me know in the comments below. Love you.